Good afternoon, and welcome to this Saturday's edition of At the Table, the 523 Happy Half Hour, with me, your host, Kelly Lincoln. Hope everything is going well with you, and I want to wish everybody today's episode Merry Trackmess. Merry Trackmess. And the reason I'm calling this episode Merry Trackmess is because yesterday on the Raritan line of New Jersey Transit, the tracks for that New Jersey Transit line and CMX Freight and Amtrak, they all share the right-of-way. Amtrak owns the right-of-way. And yesterday afternoon, a mile-long freight train, which was fortunately not carrying anything toxic or explosive or anything like that, derailed. And which, of course, Trackmess caused a lot of Sturm und Drang and heartbreak and anger and, oh my God, what's going on here? Because a lot of people who ride that particular branch of New Jersey Transit were having to find other ways of getting home because obviously no service could be used. So it was all suspended. And this is why I think a lot of New Jerseyans are now really upset with soon-to-be ex-Governor Christie, is that the new tunnel, the track work that he decided he didn't want to be part of, was going to alleviate this issue by having New Jersey Transit having its own track system and not relying on the Amtrak right-of-way or the CMX right-of-way, which has priority. So instead, one track for three different rail lines. And now there's no track for three different rail lines. And fixing this and getting the freight cars uprighted back on the tracks and investigating the cause of the derailment has just been made doubly worse because there is snow. It is snowing here in New Jersey. I am at work, so I thought I'd just let you know that, in case you hadn't bothered looking out your window. And this morning, when I got up, I looked out my window and I went and I said, hey, they promised us snow. They said there would be snow. And, of course, in Manhattan, there wasn't any snow. I get off the PATH train here in Newport, in Jersey City, and boy, was there snow. Snow Queen threw a little bit of snow into my eyes, but my heart didn't turn to ice. But man, it's coming down. It's pretty. It's slushy in the parking lot of the shopping center where I am currently working, and I am on my lunch break right now. By the way, this is being recorded earlier in the day. Actually, today it's being recorded live inside the local Popeyes, and I'm having lunch, obviously. The $5 holiday feast is really good. A little too salty, but that's me. So yeah, everybody's all nicely bundled up, and it's slow, and the place isn't as packed as we would all like it to be, but it's been a good day. It's been a fun day. People still coming out to do their shopping, getting their first drive in the snow and the slush out of their systems. And a truck with Clifford, with the big blue dog, just went by. So I know it wasn't Clifford, because Clifford's red. So prior to my arriving in, actually it's beginning to snow a little bit in Manhattan when I got off of the subway at Madison Square Garden and came up the ground to prepare my trek over to the PATH to get to work. And it was just beginning to snow. I mean, you could see the snowflakes. And I met this lovely, lovely couple from Perth, Australia, and they were like giddy like children because they, up until today, they had never experienced snow in their entire lifetime, and they were just really excited because today was their last day in the States, and they were flying back to Australia later this afternoon. So I thought that was kind of like a nice going away gift for them, that they had snow today. It's a wet snow, which means later tonight when it gets even colder, it's going to be black ice. So actually, by the time you're probably going to be listening to this on the East Coast, it's going to be black ice. So drive carefully, and the program director also told me that there's like this crunchy stuff over where he is. I have been, I love YouTube. There's a lot of really awesome tutorials there, and I have been using YouTube to learn more about getting more proficient in Ableton. There's some great tutorials there, and Logic Pro X. And there's a guy I really like watching. He's more into using Adobe Audition for voiceover work and all of that, but his live tutorials are easily translatable to Logic or any other audio recording program, multi-track recording program you may be using. Just that some stuff doesn't exist in Logic that you have in Adobe Audition, but it's a great series. His name's Mike Russell, and I'm not getting any money for this, but he's got some really great tutorials going on recording and creating sound effects and all of it. You really should check him out on YouTube. Mike Russell, Russell, and he's a lot of fun to watch. I've also been taking some watching some of the drawing tutorials, and I'm really, really proud of myself. I can now draw a stick figure in action. I actually learned how to do that. You think drawing a stick figure in motion is it? It's really not, because we're all used to just having the stick straight up and down, and we're not really, because that's how we first learned to draw stick figures. And it's kind of fun to have that going on. And also, because I can now draw stick figures in motion, it sort of like relieves when nothing is going on in the store. I can pull out my notebook and start drawing. And it's the art of looking picturesque. So you're always aware of your surroundings, but you look like you're doing something when you're not. I've talked with some great customers today. You should, if you're a gabby person like me, and I know sometimes it doesn't sound like it here, but I'm a rather gabby, blithering individual. It's easy. It's kind of easy to get into that sort of thing, and can't. I've only been talking to you now for about 8 minutes, and it seems like time flies when you're having fun and you're talking quickly. So, what else can I talk about? Just briefly gloss over a lot of stuff. So, yeah, when I was with Happy Trackmess, again, fortunately, because the tankers on this mile-long freight train were empty and there was no cargo, no freight being hauled, the people that lived near the tracks, while they were evacuated, there was nothing toxic or noxious or spilling, which made everything a lot easier for the fire department when they arrived. Hazmat did show up as a precaution, but they had nothing to do because there was nothing leaking, nothing exploding or burning, which even made it better for the people that live near the tracks. And apparently their front doors face their tracks, which I don't quite get, but that's how their homes were built. Some got to say, maybe the architect should have thought about that a little bit more. And now they're going in investigating why this happened. One of the things they need to look at is the lack of funding for track maintenance from Amtrak, because Amtrak is responsible for keeping the tracks in order. And there may have been a switching issue, but the government wants to kill anything that doesn't line their pocket specifically. So with Amtrak, I love the train, but damn it, Amtrak. If you're going to charge me an arm and a leg for food, please freaking actually cook it. Don't stick it in a microwave. I'm old enough to remember that back in my day, railroad dining cars were really wonderful. I mean, the food was really, really good. In fact, there was at least one cookbook published that was made up of recipes from the dining cars on trains. Traveling by train was an awesome experience, and it still is. But I would really like to have it more where you're not just going into a snack bar. It's easier to bring your own on, which I do. A lot of people do. Last time I was on a train, I was going to Atlanta, Georgia, to and from Atlanta, Georgia, and man, it was a nice, except for when I missed my connecting train in D.C., and that was a track mess. When you're stuck in, when you miss your connecting train in D.C. and you don't have the money to rebook on another, it's like you get a little hysterical and crying and wailing and gnashing of teeth and all of that. But I made it home, thanks to a nice ticketing agent there at Amtrak, and he was great. It's one of the reasons why I love Amtrak. The people that work for them are really, really great people, and it's also a really great way to travel. It's less exhaustive and cramped and annoying as taking a plane rather. You don't have to pay to check your bags. You get 2 bags checked free. And the seats are more comfortable. And the cost of a round trip is approximately the cost of a one-way fare on the plane. Or something like that. So Mary Trackmess. Doing track work in the snow or rain is not happening. It just doesn't happen. And it's always, that's how it is. And you're listening to At the Table, the 523 Happy Half Hour or so, here on netrootsradio.com. And going to ask you guys, it's the holiday season, and I know you donated and contributed to your heart's content, but I'm going to ask you to open your wallets, your Bitcoin accounts, and donate to keep, supporting the rebuilding of Puerto Rico, to help our fellow American citizens on the island of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. They are going to need our support for a long time to come. Also asking you to continue to help the people of Texas and that were devastated by the hurricanes as well, and the people in California that are losing their homes to the wildfires. I know a lot of you think, but they're so wealthy, they can live in Southern California, but they still lose their homes. They still lose everything. Unless you've escaped, they have to replace all of their, even the people devastated by the hurricane who've lost everything, they have to replace all of their identity documentation, all of their bank cards, everything has to be replaced. Some of them, a lot of people have lost their means to get to work. Some of them lost their job, have no work to go to because of the devastation that was wrought upon the coast of Texas, Houston, especially Puerto Rico. Since we have a president that's not really interested in helping anybody that doesn't help him, it's really up to us, the American people, to stand by our fellow American citizens and help them rebuild and recover. Remember, Puerto Rico is part of America. They are American citizens. So they deserve our help. It is the proper thing to do. It is the American thing to do. And there are some excellent, there is allofustogether.org. There is, oh my gosh, I can't access it right now, but there's a lot of great organizations to donate to. I'm going to go to CBS.com. Go to the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he's in one of his. There's a listing of organizations that you can donate to for hurricane relief, to help the people that have been devastated by the hurricanes. And I really, I'm not begging. I'm asking you to support our fellow Americans in this. It's the holiday season. We are capable of rallying around. Consider this akin to a war effort where we all pitch in to support our fellow Americans, to rebuild, to regroup. Puerto Rico has been devastated. There's nothing there. Generators. People need generators. People need clean water. People need to have their infrastructure rebuilt. And we Americans can do that. We can pitch in and take this in as a war effort and build Puerto Rico as a stronger, more vibrant 21st century American example as to what the future holds for everybody. Solar, rebuilding, reseeding the forests. The forests in Puerto Rico were devastated, were flattened. We only see images coming out of San Juan, but we don't see a lot of what's going on inside, in the interior, because, we just don't. It just doesn't happen. We need to have, we need to get assistance to our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico, outside of the bigger cities, to the southern coastal areas of Puerto Rico, and help them. We are Americans. We stand by each other. Language doesn't divide us. Nothing divides us unless we let it divide us. And we are one United States of America. We help each other. And that is my pitch for Puerto Rico hurricane relief today. So what else have I got here? On my table? And again, you're listening to the 523 Happy Half Hour at the table here on netrootsradio.com. So what about going? Oh yeah, if you've never seen somebody's first reaction to snow when they live in a climate that doesn't get it, it's a wonderful thing to see. It's especially on older adults. It's a wonder to behold. You just don't see that because we are accustomed to seeing snow. It's like, oh, it's snowing. We're either really happy about it or we're annoyed by it, depending on whether or not we put on our snowshoes that day. And as I was talking to this wonderful Aussie couple and their excitement over the snow, the gentleman said, it's 2 degrees here, and he's talking in Celsius. So it's 0 degrees is what we would say 32. So it was like 34 degrees in Midtown Manhattan, Penn Station. And it was like 32 Celsius in Australia, which means it was probably around, in the 60s, 70s. And it was like, I was invisibly shaking a fist at him for the, because he was saying how warm it was. And it was kind of like a little ha-ha at us. And he was just really wonderful. I asked him how long they were going to be here. They said, this is our last day. Yay, we've got snow. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm repeating myself. I didn't mean to, but I am. So what we have, I was perusing Daily Dot online magazine, and I found an AR app, which I'm still trying to figure out. I downloaded it. It's a Twitter app. It's called Twitter Reality, and it is an app that will let you walk and look at your tweets at the same time without walking into traffic or anything like that. There's also a texting app that does sort of like the same thing. It lets you see the street in front of you. It uses the camera. And it's really great so you can text and walk and see see if there's, hold it up and you can see if there's traffic coming. You can see if there's any obstacles on the way while you're texting. So there would be some use for some of these augmented reality applications that you won't need VR glasses for. And texting and walking at the same time, I believe, is like a major priority for people. The app's really interesting because you have your wall. Once you calibrate the camera with the floor and the wall if you're indoors, and the ceiling if you're indoors, your the tweets will come up as like a wall. I still haven't, and you inside you have your reply, you scroll up, you scroll down, your reply. If you hit one tweet, it enlarges so you can read it, and if you reorient your phone to landscape, you can read it a lot easier. But there's still some things I haven't quite figured out on it. But it's a great, awesome thing to play with right now. Just like I said, it's a free app at the App Store, so you might want to play with it, and it'll give you an idea of what augmented reality is. And by the way, if you're not really sure what augmented reality is, when you're watching a football game and you see the arrows going down on the field, that's augmented reality. Because those arrows aren't really on the field; that's just being overlaid onto the screen, onto the field by the television stuff. And I'm saying a lot. I know. I'm sorry, folks. I should probably edit this before I upload it, which I will do. So. I'm going to wish you all a happy holiday season and to stay tuned in 7 minutes for Katie Speaks with Katie Klobush here on netrootsradio.com, and I'll see you again, and I'll speak to you again later tonight on the Roundhouse Power Hour table of the Saturday Night Roundtable, 12 a.m. Sunday morning, 9 p.m. Saturday evening here on netrootsradio.com.